Welcome to Spirits and Cousins. This is part 2 of the KD Stafford Paranormal Mad Scientist interview. There's a lot more to come and a lot more we can learn from KD. So let's just jump into part 2 and enjoy the man himself, KD Stafford, the Paranormal Mad Scientist.
So what are some locations that you'd like to investigate? Do you have a bucket list?
That I would like to investigate. Oh
Yeah.
man, there's a lot of cool places. I think all of my places, like, I get the nice hauntings and everything. There's like a lot of like ghosts that don't bother people and stuff. I'm looking for, I try to not have like places that I aspire to go. I try to just go where I'm called, if that makes any sense.
Totally makes sense. Yep.
Yeah, it's like the universe kind of says, "Hey, you're going to do this thing," and that's kind of where I go.
Serendipity.
Yeah, yes, that's very good word usage. Yeah, but I think if I had to pick some places to go, they're going to be the worst places. They're going to be, I feel like I'm just drawn to the worst places, the scariest places, right? I'm looking for scary. I'm looking for like mental hauntings. Psychiatric hospitals is one of my favorite types of places. One of the most haunted places, I think, in my experience that I've been to, like nobody's even heard of it. It's not even a place that you can just go to. It's just a place in St. Joe. It used to be St. Joseph, Missouri. I say St. Joe like everybody knows what the hell I'm talking about. But St. Joseph, Missouri, there's a house, and it was built in the 1800s. Nothing fancy about the house until, the owner, she died. And then the house became like a forensic psychiatric facility. And so all the activity, I believe, comes from that, the time that it's spent as being, a psychiatric facility. So that was an interesting haunting, and that was scary because I don't get scared of a lot of things in places, right? Like I'm not.
Yep.
You won't see me like, oh, I'm not going back in that room. There's something in there. It's just scare me. But this place, it was more of a real fear. It was like I felt like there was somebody else in the house with us. It was really weird. And yeah, I would not go into the basement. There was no power, but I would not go in the basement. And that is the only place I've ever been that I wouldn't go in the basement. So, I don't really have like a bucket list. I think the cooler places kind of find you.
Uh-huh.
But
like
military sites would also be cool, like places where battles happen, like super traumatic stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of emotional type of energy or whatever is there. I like those kind of places. So we'll see where the wind takes me.
I just thought of you were just talking about St. Joe, and I was thinking of Missouri. That the boy that originally inspired The Exorcist, they relocated him as a kid to St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah. My friend Greg Myers, he's the president of Paranormal Task Force. Him and Sandy, they run Paranormal Task Force. They're like my boss is. My bosses.
Yeah.
But they are the experts, actually. Like if I had to go to somebody and ask them a question about the Exorcist story, it would be them. And yeah, they've done the Exorcist house and everything. They've been there. They've investigated it. Like the actual house where the kid stayed. It wasn't his parents' house. It was like his uncle's house.
Yeah.
Yeah. They know everything. So, and that was so a couple years back. This was just a weird story. It's kind of half related to the Exorcist thing. A couple years back, I think it was before. Yeah, I'd never even done any TV shows or anything, but we were doing stuff, and we had a small online presence. So I'm at work. I was working at an asphalt plant. I was a third shift maintenance technician at an asphalt plant. So
sounds very technical.
Oh, so suck. A job was suck. It was the definition of suck. But Yeah, mostly I was more of a security guard at night than anything else. It felt like a lot of times because there's just crazy stuff going on everywhere. Like, just, I have stories on top of stories. But then Katie calls me one night, and it's like 3 a.m, and I'm in my truck up at the plant up the street, and she's like, "Hey, I got a weird phone call. There's a guy in a nursing home close by, and he says he was the actual exorcist boy, and that he had to tell his story." And I'm like, "Well, that's impossible because we already know who the exorcist child was, and so I think this person may have, but it was really weird. It was just really weird. It was 3 a.m. and sitting up there at this plant just completely alone and just scared the crap out of me. The Exorcist is one of the movies that I cannot watch to this day without getting. And I'm a horror fan aficionado, man. Like I love horror movies, all of them. I don't get into the like torture porn too much, the like hostile type stuff. But like horror movies, I'm there, man.
Yeah.
But Exorcist, that gets me. Something about that gets me. It could be partially my, religious background growing up. Could be part of that kind of reaching back and like, double bad. But I think it's something about being subverted by something that you can't see or have no control over. And,
Yeah.
this subversion of innocence, right? With Reagan, the little girl in the movie. Anyways, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. My pleasure.
Is there any place that you really want to go back to and check out?
I've been to a lot of places. Everybody says, "Oh, have you been to this place?" I'm like, "No," and they're like, "God, I can't believe you've never been there." Like, was the Waverly Manor or whatever.
The
I've never
funny
been
thing
there.
is that's what most
there.
people say when we ask this question. They say
Yes.
Waverly.
Yes.
Well, I don't know why I was thinking Waverly, but that's like the most common one for whatever.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people think it's haunted. I've never been there. Katie's been there. I've never got to go. I would like to go. As far as places that I haven't been or that I have been that I want to go back. The McNeely house was the most. Okay, so I have to say the most like aggressive type haunting that I've ever experienced was the McNeely house in St. Joe. So that's where I would want to go. And it's not even that big of a deal. Most people are like, don't even know. I wouldn't expect anybody to know what the McNeely house is because, like I said, it's just a private residence. It's probably been sold now. We got in by dealing with the realtor who was actually working on selling it. So, and they were having a lot of hard time selling it and a lot of different reasons. So we thought that was cool. But yeah, if I could go back there and just, I would not chicken out. I would do what I had to do this time. But yeah, I don't know if I'll get a chance to do that.
Tish, you'd probably really like to go to Los Coches.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
So the whole Monterey Central Coast area of California is really haunted. We have like the Big Sur Lighthouse, which is supposedly like the most haunted lighthouse in the country. And Ghost Adventures has investigated everything around the area we live in. And this
Not
Las
everything.
Coches, okay, well, not everything, but almost everything. And this Las
Anything
Coches,
they could make seem like it was a demon.
yes,
It has
yes.
to be demonic. It has to be. It has to be demon.
Do you know James Anito, KD? He says the same thing because he's like, yeah.
And Greg, like I was talking with Greg Myers, my mentor,
Yes.
task force president. He actually he's been on Ghost Adventures several times. Was it the Bobby Mackey episode?
Oh yeah,
where they brought him in. It was like at the aftershocks. They talked to him, and then I can't remember the other ones, but he was also on like Fact or Fake. But yeah, he said, the Pythian Castle. That's the one I was thinking of. Zach wanted to portray like there was a demon there, and so there was red light blinking on a cell phone tower, and like Zach was like, "Oh, it's a demon." And Craig was like, "No, it's a cell phone tower." They just took him out of the episode because he wouldn't play ball, I guess. But
it's bad. But they went to this Las Coches, and it really is. terrible. Like, you don't even have to be gifted to feel the grief that's on this property. It is dark and heavy, and it's the first time that I ever saw things flying back and forth, and first time I've ever experienced this. And Courtney pointed out it's all residual, because it was the same thing going back and forth. And anyway, it was a boarding house, and then it was a stagecoach stop. And it had this woman there. This is a fact. This is not, folklore. There was a woman that ran it, that the gold miners and, all the cowboys would stop there on their way back and forth between Northern and Southern California. And when they would stop there, especially if they were gold miners, they'd have gold. Well, this woman was like killing them and throwing them down a well.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of similar stories.
So, I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff there. And Ghost Adventures did it. And of course, when we went there, I'm thinking, they kind of overdo everything. And we got there. I was so scared. I went back in the car. I said to Courtney, I'm going to sit in the car. I'm just going to go sit in the car.
Yeah. It was. Some places are like that. And, is it partially because of our predisposure or, like our pre-exposure to something about it? Maybe, but there's still a vibe. Like, because I've been to a lot of places where everybody's like, oh man, this place is so haunted. It's like, there's TV shows have been there, and it's supposed to, every place claims to be the most haunted place in the world. But, I get there and it's like,
and you don't feel anything, huh?
Crickets. It's like not really feeling it. It's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. But then, it really just depends. But that's not to say the place is haunted. Also, it could just be the wrong time. You're not the right person, maybe. Something's not vibing with you, I guess is the way to put it. So, like, if it's doesn't want to interact with you, it won't. There's lots of reasons why some people might have more experiences than others at some places, or they might be more afraid. But say it's something about the place might speak to you specifically,
just like that house does to you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so that was the whole psychological haunting. Really, kind of. I guess the Blair Witch movie is a good example of like a psychological type of haunting. How it's just messing with your head the whole time. And to me, that's scarier than anything else. That
I agree.
Like, there's no ghost that I could see that would scare me more than knowing that something could manipulate the way I think, and could possibly change how I behave. So that's just crazy to me. So
Well, and I think the woman who owned the Stagecoach Inn and the brothel, I think that's what she did to some of those men. Yeah. Because when I first go to a place, I try not to know a lot of the history ahead of time, because I just don't want to infer or make assumptions.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know a decent amount of the history at first. And it was fascinating. It is very intense there. And there's a lot of residual because the miners, the mine collapsed. And so there's a lot of residual hauntings, but some of it was very legit.
Well, if like paranormal activity, a lot of it is this residual is based on, how powerful the emotions and the things that were happening at that location were. With the miners, wherever they went, you're looking at people who are just they're cashing all in, all their chips are going in, and it's they're either going to make it or break, right? They're going to make it or bust. So there's a lot of emotions tied up in minor type situations. I've found myself actually being called out to, so many different mining towns. And, it's not something I aim to do. It just turned out that way. It's really weird. Like Butte, and, so got the whole TV show on the one mine. And then, several, like Potosi is a town in Missouri. And we ended up doing investigations out there and have been now for several years with Paranormal Task Force. So, yeah, mining towns are always super interesting to me. There's a lot of stories about, murder, jealousy, and you name it, that mining towns have experienced it. And so that's why I think there's a lot of more residual type stuff that goes on there. It's more powerful experiences,
It is. California's got a lot of it.
Yeah,
And
we've been to a place that Ghost Adventures went to in Reno, Virginia City. There we go.
Oh, Virginia City.
Oh,
yeah. My friend Kira lives out there. And hello, Kira, if you're listening to this. But she's cool, and she does a lot of the paranormal events and stuff out there. And she helps us promote our ghost boxes. She's into ITC things, so appreciate that, Kira. But yeah, Virginia City's another mining town I've randomly called out to, and we got funded to go out there and investigate, and then we also got to go and do the Lovelock Caves close by in Nevada, and that was cool because that's the redheaded giant story. I didn't really know how the ghost hunting application would go there, but we were with Bigfoot hunters, and these dudes do not play. They get out and they're like strapping up, like magazines in, charging weapons, and I'm like,
really?
bro, I don't even have a gun. Like, what are we doing here again? Because I'm starting to get worried. But yeah,
I'd be worried too.
I do want to go to California and do some stuff. I do.
Yes, please. Come on
California
out here.
is so far away. It's like 20 something hours. I like to drive. I like the experience of driving across country. There's nothing better.
There's a lot. There's a lot out there. There's a lot to see, and it can be concentrated into northern and southern California. Northern California has so much history and a lot of kind of civil wars that happened.
Yes.
And so as a result, especially in the Central Coast around Monterey, that's why there's not to mention there's Fort Ord. That's over 20,000 acres of haunted land. Seriously.
It's an abandoned army base.
Yeah. I'm going to.
A lot of that out there in California. I was looking at something, and it was the base where the Battle of LA. You remember that story where they saw a UFO over LA and the military started like shooting at it?
Yes.
Yeah, and they were shooting from like a civil air defense base that they had or something out there. That's a cool story.
So,
but yeah.
2 more things for you, and then we do have to get going, but I'm really enjoying our conversation. What is the latest equipment you've created?
It would be like a version of one of my ghost boxes. I guess it's the most recent one is the reverse speech ink box. So I got into reverse speech. I think there's something to that. There's been a lot of work done, like important historical figures in their speeches, and then reversing their speech and trying to listen to see if they had any kind of something that was coming out in reverse from their subconscious or whatever, right? So if we do kind of speak in riddles backwards in reverse as people, then we would also maybe do it as ghosts. So I thought that was interesting.
Very
but
cool.
Also it kind of gets rid of if you're using a ghost box and you're on the FM band, for example, you're going to get a lot of radio chatter, and that's not a problem as long as you kind of can sift through and say, well, this is probably just radio. But when you reverse everything, then nothing is just radio chatter, right? And so, but it's and then it turns into just a lot of noises. But then when you get a valid response to a question and something where you shouldn't get any sort of actual response, especially not like a direct response to a question, then that makes it even more interesting. It's kind of like listening to shortwave and you're not getting anything. You ask a question, you get something immediately. So when you get something in reverse audio, it adds another layer for believability. I think, that there is something that we don't understand that we're talking to.
Okay.
So yeah, reverse speech inkbox is my latest thing.
Very cool. Kind of like listening to the Beatles records backwards.
Yes, or Led Zeppelin. You had Sad Satan, Stairway to Heaven. So. Yeah.
And then we have this fun game that we like to do with our fun guests. It's word association. So I'll say a word or a short phrase, and you just tell us the first thing that comes to your head.
Oh, okay. I don't have a lot of things coming into my head, but let's go. Are
you ready?
I'm ready.
Spirit box.
Frank. I don't know. Frank. It's the name. Frank Sumption, I guess. Yeah.
Cemetery.
Tombstone.
Dowsing rods.
Water.
Witching hour.
Cloaks.
Devil's perch.
I'm trying to think of the proper way to say it. Not a whorehouse. What's the word I'm looking for?
Brothel?
Brothel. There we go. Brothel.
Demons.
The devil.
Paranormal state.
Trina. There you go.
Ghost hunters.
Roto-Rooter.
Entities.
SLS camera.
KD, thank you so much. You're such a fascinating human, and thank you.
How are you going to apply all these answers, all these questions? That's what I want to know. Are you collecting data, and you're going to do a big spreadsheet? Okay, okay.
Nope. Well, it'll be. It'll come.
Is this like a personality test?
Not at all.
We're gonna mix it up.
Not at all.
We're gonna mix it up, so it's gonna be completely convoluted.
Okay.
No.
Not like I was taking a test.
It'll not be taken out of context at all.
We do it with everyone we interview. It's funny to see what they say.
Weird
it's just as fun to hear what people say.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it won't be.
On the Ghost, what was it? Ghost Brothers, they actually had me say it'll make you poop your pants on national television. So you can go watch it. Yeah, you can watch it. Me saying it could make you poop your pants. And I said that on TV.
Oh, we'll look
for it. They're like, don't worry, we're not going to put it in. I'm like, okay, cool. I know better now.
No. We're not going to do that. We do it with everyone. It's just a quick, easy way to kind of not just end the interview, but it just kind of it's light at the end.
It takes a lot to embarrass me. So
it's been a pleasure.
It's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Fun. Yeah, thank y'all.
Thank you. We'll let you know when it's up.
Yep, we will.
Okay.
Thank you so much, KD.
Bye.
It's been wonderful.
Wasn't that amazing? KD is an amazing person, and we were lucky to have him on. So thank you for joining us on this episode of Spirits and Cousins. And don't forget, you can see us and catch us on social all over Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're doing a lot on TikTok, and you can always write us at spiritsandcousins@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.